Good morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, September 13th. Will stocks find luck on this Friday the 13th? Yesterday, markets continued their upward momentum. The Dow added 235 points, or 0.58%. The S&P 500 gained 41 points, or 0.75%. The Nasdaq advanced 174 points, or 1%. Bill, let's get into Friday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are up 0.19%. That's about 0.2%. That's positive. We had good gains yesterday, and this morning we're still in the green. I like to see that. I mean, the economic calendar today is light, but next week it really does pick up. We got retail sales coming out, and of course we got a lot of housing data, and of course we got the FOMC meeting. Last night on the earnings front that we did hear from Adobe, ADBE, they delivered guidance that was a little light compared to street expectations. RH, they came in good. What's going on today? Shares of Boeing are getting hit this morning. Those union workers have initiated a strike, which is halting the production of the 737 MAX. Not good. But I look at the overall market sentiment and it is positive ahead of next week's FOMC meeting. So you gotta ride that wave. We're looking overseas at what's going on. We're looking at the DAX in Germany. It's up 77 points, or 0.42%. We're looking at the FTSE in London. That's up 20 points, or 0.25%. It was lower earlier. It was down about 0.2. It was down about 10 points earlier, but now it's trading higher, so that's good to see. The CAC, was up higher. Now it's up only 7 points, or about 0.1%. So we'll have to see. I know that in France, the annual inflation rate slowed to 1.8% in August. Now that's down from the estimates of 1.9% and much lower than the 2.3 number that came in July. Now, what's causing that drop in inflation is the lowering of energy prices. You look at London. They got that a BOE meeting next week. The Bank of England is going to be making an announcement on monetary policy next week. And in Germany, you got to kind of look at the ECB as a whole. The ECB stated that their inflation target is likely to reach at the end. Likely to be reached at the end of next year. Kind of like to see that. They're not talking about additional rate cuts because they delivered their second rate cut this year today, but that poses an issue for the Fed. So the Fed has to at least do a 25 basis point cut when they come out with their action next week. Now let's take a look over at Asia last night and see what happened in Asia. We saw that the Nikkei dropped 251 points, or 0.68%. The issue here is that they had that big gain yesterday of more than 3%, but the yen is continuing to get stronger, and the Bank of Japan is on a path to raising rates. That's going to hurt that carry trade. So I'm not surprised that Japanese equities are starting to weaken. I suspect that they're going to continue to weaken for the rest of the year. But Hong Kong, on the other hand, Hong Kong jumped 128 points. That's 0.75%. What can I say? There are rumors that China is preparing to slash rates on $5 trillion worth of mortgages. That would be decent stimulus. But Hong Kong up 128 points. Shanghai, on the other hand, that fell 13 points. That's 0.48%. That's half percent. Now, I'm not worried about that because in China, the thing is that they got a long holiday weekend ahead because Monday and Tuesday, those markets are closed for a national holiday. So we're not going to see any trading there. So it's not surprising that nobody wants to carry positions on over the weekend. So yeah, Hong Kong was up, China was down, Asia was down, overall, Tokyo was down. Now we're taking a look at oil because oil remains a key factor. We got oil prices up over 1% this morning. We got WTI at $69.78 a barrel. You got Brent at $72.67 a barrel. What's driving it? Hey, supply disruptions in the Gulf of Mexico after Hurricane Francine made landfall. Now, Hurricane Francine is said to have forced a shut-in of around 42% of oil production. So until that comes back up, we're going to see these oil prices start to tick higher. That should not be surprising. So you want to keep an eye on USO. You want to keep an eye on Exxon. You want to keep an eye on Chevron for gains today. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market report, Emily.
Bill, you just mentioned keeping an eye on gains in Exxon. That was your pick of the day yesterday. So stick with us through the entire show because we're going to see how that pick went. As you mentioned, oil being a main market driver. The other things that you did point out, some interesting earnings to note. So let's get there. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
Let's talk Adobe, ticker ADBE, Apple, David, Boy, Edward. They delivered a beat at 12 cents. It's done on lower revenue, but the guidance was, muted. It didn't excite Wall Street, and that's why the stock got hit. I mean, this is a beautiful play because going into Adobe, you knew that the straddle price was looking for a $40 move, and sure enough, going into earnings, the stock was up $8. And then the earnings came out and it fell. It fell, went from up 8 to flat to down 6 to down, 8 to down 17 to down 24. You look at it this morning. I mean, the stock is actually lower by 48 points. Wow, that's 8.28%. That's kind of where the straddle price was, so I'm not really shocked about it. And I do think we're going to see, a little bit of, I think it can fall to like down 55, down 60, and then we're going to see a little bit of a bounce back in shares of Adobe because the report wasn't weak, but there was a lot of like issues in that in the forward guidance that people didn't like. What else do we have? RH, formerly known as Restoration Hardware. They beat by 13 cents. They did that on higher revenue. You look at shares of RH this morning, and that stock is trading higher. It's up 21 points or $56. So yeah, Restoration Hardware, RH, nice solid return. Upcoming, nothing this afternoon, nothing on Monday, and I think Tuesday's light as well. So I'm not going to go out much further than that. But there's no real big earnings coming out on the schedule. But I'll recheck it. But that's what I have for you in terms of earnings action today, Emily.
And Bill, the economic calendar is also a little bit light, but certainly picks up next week. As you gave us a preview of the FOMC meeting coming next week, we will follow all those details next week throughout the show. But today we're going to turn to what's going on this Friday in terms of economic events. Bill, what is going on there?
8:30 a.m. we get import-export prices. This is a trade deficit. Okay. 10 a.m. we got consumer confidence. Sounds good, but it's the University of Michigan numbers. I'm not a big fan of it. At 1 p.m. we got the Baker Hughes rig count. Next week is we're going to see the real lower number because that's when the Hurricane Francine numbers will really hit. But that's what I have for you in terms of economic reports hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
Bill, along with all of that, you are following the day's other market moving data and information. You're trying to ride this positive wave here, looking at things like guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, other catalysts, setting up NewsWare alerts to follow those types of news items. You also are able to group stocks together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Look at my Dow stocks, doing a quick data check. I got 25 Dow stocks higher. I got 4 lower, 1 unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. Meta's weak. Okay, Netflix is weak. Tesla's weak. So, it's kind of tough to say that we're going to have a strong opening today. But, we could have positive. SPOOs are up 0.22%. We're talking about some of the news behind the tape, like Apple. Apple, the FDA granted Apple marketing authorization for its hearing aid feature. Those near earbuds can be used as a hearing aid. That's a game changer. That's a big deal. You finally got a brand name hearing aid that people are going to like, and they're going to go with Apple. So I could see that stock moving higher. Amazon, they boost their pay for its drivers. Why? Because there were threats by their union workers to go on strike. So Amazon had to do something. So they gave them better pay. And guess what? Stocks trading higher this morning. Netflix, ticker NFLX, trading a little lower this morning, but they said said that they're growing their advertising business. So we got to keep an eye on that. Tesla trading off a little bit this morning. China wants its EV makers to safeguard technology at home. That means the driverless software, the last touches really have to be performed in China. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're talking Salesforce, CRM. Salesforce unveils autonomous AI agent suite for Agentforce. Just got to talk Boeing. United Airlines CEO said, "Hey, I like what's going on at Boeing. That new CEO, he's really got his hands, he's really got his foot to the pedals, doing the right things. But you got hit with this union strike, and this union strike." They know Boeing management is going to have to cave. They need that production. And right now, they're halting the 737 MAX production. If anybody, I love Boeing. I think Boeing is a great stock. But this is the type of news that I was kind of looking for, and I don't know how long will go on for. But this is really negative news for Boeing. But it also on the other side, if they can keep that strike session short, this is a great opportunity. I do like Boeing, ticker BA, boy Apple, but Boeing union workers voted to strike, halting the 737 MAX production. That's not positive for the stock. But long term, I do like it. Okay, we're talking guidance news. We're talking Adobe, ticker ADBE, Apple, David, boy Edward. They see Q4 EPS coming in 463 to 468. Street estimates 465. Okay. Restoration RH, ticker RH. They see Q3 revenue up 7 to 9%. Consensus estimate is 836 million. Okay. 3M yesterday, Minnesota mining manufacturer, they said for the full year 2024, they expect to earn $7 to $7.30. Street estimate $7.26. I don't know if they're going to make it. Oracle on the other hand, these guys are on a tear. Came out with good earnings, stock jumps, and then yesterday, they said that they see at least $66 billion in revenue for the fiscal year 2026. And then in 2029, they expect they turn 104 billion. These are astronomically high numbers, but I mean, it is doable. But pie in the sky, I don't know if they'll reach it or not. But guess what? That's what they're shooting for. So you got to keep an eye on shares of Oracle this morning. Okay, we're talking shareholders meetings. Johnson & Johnson and Merck, J&J and MRK, Michael Richard Kilo. They're presenting today at a European Society for Medical Oncology Congress. It's a big conference. Something could be said. Keep an eye on it. In terms of buyback, Laureate Education, ticker LAUR, Larry, Apple, Uncle Richard, they announced $100 million share buyback. That's positive. And let's talk catalyst calls. SS&C, that's ticker SSNC, Sam, Nancy, Charlie. JP Morgan put it on a positive catalyst watch list this morning into its September 18th Investors Day. They got a feeling they might know something. SS&C, Sam, Nancy, Charlie, one to keep an eye on today, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us to end this week?
I'm going to go with Apple, ticker AAPL, Apple, Paul, Larry. I mean, that FDA news on the earbuds as hearing aids, that's hot. That's a big news. That's kind of a game changer. If grandma has a hearing aid, it's like, you're going to surprise her and you're going to say, hey, grandma, I got you the Apple ones. This is going to be, this has just turned into what I consider to be a momentum changing tool for their earbuds. So I do like it. I look at yesterday's call volume, 426, 674 call on the call site. 251, 672 on the put side. That's positive. You look at the open interest, 3.8 million versus 2.8 million. That's positive. You look at the major brokers, they all got price targets in the 250, 275 range. Okay, let's talk about a price target for today. I want to get in, 220, 250, give or take 50 cents. 220, 250, give or take 50 cents. Stock's already up. It could continue to move, but I'm hoping there might be a little weakness. I'm looking for that coupon, and then that's kind of what I'm looking for this morning. But I think we're going to see some gains in Apple because I think this earbud news is going to kind of take off, and you get positive tailwinds in the market behind it. So I see some nice opportunity in shares of Apple this morning. The APL, Emily.
Looking for Apple at a coupon, and yesterday you had a pick of the day that you were looking for at a coupon, and we're hoping a couple of news events would move the stock higher. And coming up, we will do a recap on that pick of the day, as we mentioned earlier in the show. So stay with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Paramount Group suspends quarterly dividend. Oh, it's not good. PDD, Paul David. This is Team U, owner PDD. Alibaba slips his White House vows. A shipping crackdown. Ooh, not good for those Chinese internet stocks. What else do we see? Amazon, Biden administration to take steps to curb Chinese low-value package shippings. Positive for Amazon. Positive for Amazon. Ford submits a letter of intent for manufacturing in a plant in India. American Airlines, Boeing strike may last stand against AI. Brunswick Freedom Boat Club acquires South Florida franchise operation. Let's see, what else do we see here? Flutter, ticker FLUT, they acquired 50% stake in Brazil's NSX Group for $350 million. Big Lots, ticker BIG, they're a struggling retailer. We all know that, but this morning they announced a Black Friday sale. Not only did they announce a Black Friday sale, they're going to have a Black Friday sale every Friday through December 6th. Wow, that's aggressive. I see Novo Nordisk. I see some lawmakers working on a bill to give the FDA rights to find, the weight loss drug firms for misleading information that they're putting out there. Okay. Let's see. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off on this Friday, let's do that check-in on your today's pick of the day. I mentioned it earlier in the show, was ExxonMobil. Speaking of news hitting the tape, I did see a news item this morning that Mitsubishi Corp is in talks to buy a stake in ExxonMobil's project in Baytown, Texas, which aims to be the world's largest low-carbon ammonia facility. You were looking for some action in oil yesterday, looking at factors like that ECB announcement, also the hurricane disruption, thinking that there would be some gains in oil, specifically Exxon. So, Bill, how did your call work out?
Worked out great. I just look at the numbers. The stock opened up at 109.90, 109.9, and I said low 110s. It opened up, a fraction under 109, and actually fell down to 109.76 in the first moments of trading. But then it just steadily climbed higher throughout the day. It actually hit a high of $111.33, but it closed at $111.23. If you look at the stock this morning, it's $111.60, up another 0.3%. I mean, this was a good gainer. We made 2% on this thing. And ExxonMobil went from 110, it's now trading to 111. Okay, 1.5%. But ExxonMobil, very low risk trade, very positive. I was very happy with it. ExxonMobil was a winner yesterday, Emily.
A nice win there, Bill, and we will check in with you on Monday about today's Apple pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.